pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Here.
Amber Brown, Jerry Sartain,
Here.
Joe Machado,
Here.
William Harper,
Here.
Renee Curtis,
Here.
and Zane Cantrell.
Present. Have a quorum. You have the minutes of our last meeting. Are there any changes or additions to the minutes? Do I have a motion to be approved? Have a motion to be approved. Do I have a second?
Second.
Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Thanks
William
for
Harper.
reminding.
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
and Zane Cantrell.
Yes.
And can I get, you motioned to approve and,
Approve virtual.
okay,
Is that what you want?
yes.
Motion to approve the virtual meeting.
Well, no, was that the minutes?
Oh,
Who-
that was a meeting, yes. I was asking that. I thought you wanted me to make another motion.
Oh,
You
okay.
do, don't you?
I just wanted to clarify who made the motion, and you seconded. Okay.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. The Governor Lee's executive order is necessary to conduct this meeting electronically in order to protect health, public safety, and welfare. Do I have a motion to that effect?
So moved.
Have a second? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
and Zane Cantrell.
Yes. We ready?
Yes.
You ready? See if I'm ready. The first item of business we have is a request, special exemption from Richard Reeves. This is Barrow Pit, and we've dealt with this for some time. Ted, or you have anything to? Is Ted?
Want me to give a presentation?
Yeah.
Or, okay.
Ted's here. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Is he going to be online? Or?
He is joining us via Zoom. So, application 2020-15 is a request for special exception approval, temporary special exception approval for a burrow pit with relief from the setback and area requirements for burrow pits in the RM zone. And this request filed by Mr. Reeves is a renewal of the previous applications that have appeared before you. We have not received any complaints, to my knowledge, regarding the work that has commenced since the last approval of the work. In 2018, additional areas were approved, and they reduced some of the older approved areas from the original plan, but they are not seeking any changes to the request tonight. They just would like to renew it for an additional 6 months. The county engineer as well as our stormwater inspector are here to answer any questions that you might have. And we posted signs on the property. We received a couple informational calls, but no one indicated opposition to the request. And these are photos of the area. And that concludes my presentation.
This is a follow-up to what they've been doing out there.
That is correct. They are simply asking to renew the permit.
Well, let me know when y'all are ready, Mr. Chairman. This is Ted here.
And Mr. Goodman's ready whenever you are ready for him.
Have you all reviewed, has anybody reviewed this? Other than,
Well, our engineer and stormwater inspector have been working closely with the site manager, John Cortez. He is here, and as well as Mike Hughes, our county engineer, and they have been following the
yeah,
project.
that's, do you have anything you want to add to this, our county engineer?
Thank you, Chairman Cantrell, members of the BZA. They have been working on a berm that they're supposed to put on the front of Jefferson Pike. They started on the berm and decided to revise it. So that's one thing that they're continuing to work on is this berm along the front. They have planted some bamboo behind it, and there is a vegetated screen along in the fence row that's starting to grow up, so that all those things combined will provide a nice screen along Jefferson Pike. But other than that, they are continuing with the borrow and recovery areas. We have kept a close look at that. There are some areas that we need to have them readdress. Some of these areas are taking longer to take seed and grow like we would hope they would, but we are diligent on keeping that a close eye on that. So, but other than that, they are in general compliance with what we've asked them to do.
Would you say that they are they keeping up with the recovery plan as it was laid out in the beginning? The last time we
Right.
did the renewal, you said, well, they were a little behind because of the weather, whatever.
Yes, sir. Right.
So are they
The same-
accelerating to keep up with that?
Yes, sir. They're doing a very good job seeding and strawing the recovery areas. Maybe just because of the wind, the lack of vegetated cover, a lot of that blows away, so they have to come back and do it again. And we're gonna work with them on trying to come up with some additional measures to help that seed and straw, that ground cover take. So it's been a struggle, with anything. You either get too much rain, too much wind, not enough rain. So it's been a struggle. They've taken a lot of the soil away and brought some back to allow the vegetation to grow, but it's been a struggle with this broad open areas. Yes, they are keeping up with it, and they worked with our staff diligently working on that, and they've been in contact with Commissioner Piercy about the berm. He's wanting that to look good. So the first berm was installed, and it wasn't what he had envisioned, so they've kind of scrapped it, and they're working on a revision to that.
Any other questions? Thank you, I appreciate that. You have Ted up now.
Yes.
Takes a little bit. Ted, can you hear this?
Yes, sir, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Ted
Can you
Goodwin
hear me?
is the attorney for Richard Reeves. You have further information to share with us?
Well, I have a formal presentation that I've prepared, but I think that we've been doing this enough now that most of the board members have probably got it memorized. I know I just about do. If there's any, I don't want to tax the board's time. I'm prepared to present the presentation if the board wants that, or to answer any questions the board may have. Otherwise, we're asking for renewal on exactly the same terms that we had most recently and several times before that, and would ask for renewal again. Again, this is just a 6-month term with a potential for a 3-month administrative renewal. And then after that, we'll have to come back like we've been doing all along.
Any questions of Ted? Ted, you did a good job, as usual.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Any further comments? We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Close the public hearing. We have a motion on it.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we approve the request.
Okay, it has a motion to be approved. We have a second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
and Zane Cantrell.
Yes, it is approved. Thank you, Ted.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, our next item is a request by James Talbert, who is requesting a special exemption approval for establishment of an accessory structure, and this is before the principal structure is built. We have one draw up on this, Mr. Lane. Is that right?
Miss Lane Tabbitt.
Okay,
Yes, she's representing, she is one of the applicants.
Okay.
So.
All right, what do you have on it?
Okay, application 2020-16 is a request for special exception approval for the establishment of an accessory structure before the principal structure for a property located in the RM zone. The property is located off McKegg Road as well as Flag Court. It's landlocked, but it is directly adjacent to the applicant's property at 243 Flag Court. It's a 1.7 acre parcel, and the applicant has no immediate intentions of building a home on this property. They simply use it for additional area. They do have one agricultural structure that's located on the property, and that would be permitted by right now. They are seeking to establish a second structure on this property for recreational uses. It's a 25 by 25 structure, and they want to use it as an outdoor living space. We received one informational call on this request, but no one has indicated being in favor or opposition of this request. And it's just an extension of the applicant's yard. We have another application tonight that's very similar. This is the site plan that the applicant provided us, shows the existing pole barn, the location of the new structure in relation to their home. And we posted a sign and notified the neighbors. And that concludes our presentation.
Is she coming up on?
I think so.
I'm here.
Oh, okay. She's here. Mhm.
Okay.
I'm so sorry. I'm on the phone, so it's hard for me to see. Obviously, I can't. You said everything I was going to say. We were just proposing this zoning exemption. It is an extension of our yard, and we have spoken with all of our neighbors, and we just wanted to have an outdoor living space, a outdoor kitchen, just a place to gather outside.
Any questions? Jerry, do you have a question? Okay. Any question? Thank you very much for your participation. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this or call in. Close the public hearing. Do we have a motion on it? Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
and Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next request is Randall and Tracy Allen. This is a special exemption approval of establishment of an accessory structure before the principal structure is built. I don't have anyone on this. Do you? What do you have? Okay, go ahead and make your presentation.
Okay, application 2020-17 is filed by Randall and Tracy Allen. It involves property located off Richland Richardson Road. It's a request for special exception approval for the establishment of an accessory structure before the principal structure for a property located in the RL zone. And the applicant lives adjacent to the site, so it's an extension of their yard. It's just a separate lot that was purchased separately from the home site that they reside in. And it's their wishes to erect a structure on the properties to store their boat. So it's not their intention to build a home on this property within any time frame. They would just like to be able to utilize the land that's adjacent to their property for a storage building. The applicant did include in their application package letters in support of the request. We have received some informational calls regarding the request and calls in favor. And I believe the applicant is online tonight to answer any questions that you have. But the structure that they're planning to build is a 36 by 36 equipment shed, and it would just be used for personal storage. And that concludes our presentation.
Ms. Allen, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear
Okay.
you.
Do you have any further information you'd like to share with us?
No, we just want like a tool shed to store a boat and a camper and a trailer in. And we have no intention of building a home on the property.
Any questions, Ms. Allen? Ms. Allen?
No.
No, we don't have any questions. Thank you very much for your participation.
Thank you.
We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this. Commissioner, come around.
Good afternoon. I've spoke with the applicant and also talked to some people in the area. Nobody over there has a problem with them doing this. It actually, to me, it's frustrating because it's more red tape than it is anything. They basically have bought 3 lots and they're all adjacent. They'd have to go to the cost of having, through our regulations, to have it resurveyed, even though they've got a survey of the 3 separate lots that are side by side. There's no plan to build anything other than this structure to store his boat in, because every time he's got to go out with his boat, he's going to have to clean it up, you know, because leaves and everything's blowing in it. But anyway, I would request that y'all approve this.
Any questions from Commissioner P? Thank you, Commissioner. It's always good to see Commissioner P up here. I always have to mention I worked with his daddy years ago, and here he's seen his son up here. Good to see you, Commissioner. Anyone else call in or would like to speak on this? Close the public hearing. Entertain a motion.
Make a motion to approve.
Have a motion to be approved.
Second.
Have 2 seconds. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley,
Yes.
Joe Machado,
Yes.
Jerry Sartain,
Yes.
William Harper,
Yes.
Renee Curtis,
Yes.
and Zane Cantrell.
Yes. The next item we have is thank you for, okay, she's off. The next item is a request by Lawrence Atkins, and this is a request for temporary special exemption approval for a seasonal attraction. And what do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-18 involves the property at 3722 Shady Lane, and they are requesting temporary special exception approval for a seasonal attraction on a property located in the RM zone. And the applicant wishes to establish a corn maze mid-September through the end of October. They will have a pumpkin patch and other types of activities. They do have a safety plan in place for social distancing, and we have received phone calls from neighbors in support of the request, and I do believe that we have some neighbors on registered to speak tonight. But the event would take place from September 20th to October 31st. They will In 2018, the applicant appeared before you for an event venue, and the event venue has not been officially established. They've not gone through the site plan review process, but they would like to move forward with this temporary special exception that is only good for a maximum of 45 days. They have included a site plan to show where all the off-site parking would be located, and within their application materials, they indicated what their plans to provide safety to those using the facility. So these are photos of the surrounding site. We posted a sign on the property and notified the surrounding neighbors within 500 feet. And this is the site plan. The corn mazes would be located towards the rear of the property, and you would see that they have a couple entrances off a shady lane with parking located all throughout the site. It's a 22-acre site with ample area for parking. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Okay, we have I believe the Atkins online here. Can you all hear us? Okay. All right. Do you have any further information you'd like to share with our board?
Yes. We're only going to do it in November. We've got
October.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, October. We've got plans late September. So
Speak up just a little bit more. We're having a hard time hearing you.
We're only going to have it in October. We're not planning on any part of it in September at all. We've got some plans in late September, so we're only going to need it for 30 days. Yes, we're going to have portable potties for everybody and masks on hand for those who don't have their own. We intend to enforce the social distancing rules and to include alternating people going into the maze so there's not groups of people going through it. We will, everything will be clearly marked. Nothing will be open after dark. We'll be shutting down at a certain time so we can make sure everybody's finished before dark and off the property safely. Everybody will, come in alternately coming into the property, and we've got adequate parking. We've got a large gravel parking area and also a covered parking in the hay barn if we need to, or the pole barn. We're not going to use that for anything other than parking area that's not a part of the festival or the corn maze. I'm sorry, and that's basically it. That's pretty much it.
Now, this is a pumpkin patch that you would have for October.
It's a
corn maze. We want to do a corn maze. The pumpkin patch is question mark at this point because there's no guaranteeing that the pumpkin people that sell at wholesale will have pumpkins. So that's going to be a late addition. If we just want to have a couple hundred pumpkins. People like to buy a pumpkin or two at this sort of an event, and we're trying to provide that. But there's no guarantee that we'll have. That's not really a pumpkin patch. It's the garden. It's in the garden area, but it will be we'll be purchasing pumpkins and not growing them. But like I said, that's really not 100% because all the pumpkin patches won't guarantee me anything. So basically it will be just a corn maze. We're going to have a small maze made out of just regular straw bales, just for the toddlers that are hanging out that maybe with the family members are too small to go into the maze or something. That'll give them something it's not even going to be over their heads so their parents can see them walking through it. It'll more be just a token thing for the small children to do. And other than that, those are the only activities we're planning. And we're not serving any food or selling anything. We just simply want to just provide a corn maze, really.
Thank you. Any questions? Go ahead.
I did not see on the application, when we looked at this property before, we had a problem with Shady Lane being so narrow and people being able to get in and out in an emergency situation. I didn't see in your application about the maximum number of people you were going to have on site. Can you tell me that number?
Well, I don't really figure there'll be any more than 50 people on site at any given time, maybe, and that's, we were approved for 250 on our last meeting. And in fact, Mr. P was at our last meeting in support of us before. Also, I think he was there tonight. I didn't speak to him about this particular event because he spoke for us last
So
time.
you have a plan for 50, or are you saying you don't think there'll be more than 50? How are you going to keep up with that?
Well, it's an open corn maze, and there's no particular. Nobody's going to be buying tickets ahead of time.
About the road.
Oh, as far as the road goes, I mean, everybody.
We have semi-trailers.
Yeah, we have semis and dump trucks and all kinds of fire trucks, school buses. Everybody comes. Everybody gets along fine. This road's been
There's
this.
two entrances to the Shady Lane.
Yeah, you can get on in Shady Lane, 2 different directions. So if there was an emergency, you can come in the other side. But there's never been, the next emergency we have on Shady Lane will be the first one I've ever seen in 40-something years. Everybody is very conscientious when we pass each other on this road, and we'll move over on driveways, and it just works out here real well. We're all very, we all understand how, the road. It's not super narrow. It's just so it's definitely passable. You can pass 2 big trucks next to each other. You just got to go slow. So, and everybody does. And so if it's emergency, A, you can go in the other direction, or B, it should still be everybody should still be able to pass.
We were approved before.
Yes, we got this, those questions were asked before, and so I didn't put it in the application this time.
So I'm going to ask you again, what is the maximum number of people? You have to have some idea how many people you can put in your maze and do social distancing and stuff. What is the maximum number of people you're going to have on site?
The maze is on 4.5 acres, and it stretches out a good ways. The most we've had in there is just our little granddaughters and stuff, so it's hard to judge. I'd say, no more than 50 people at a time will be in the maze, and I think it would accommodate 100 easy, because it's a pretty good sized maze. So, and if we staggered them in that way, they weren't on top of each other, it could easily accommodate 100 people in the maze at one time without running on top of each other. But I don't anticipate there being that many people.
We have another question for you.
Okay.
The last time that you were here, and Jerry was talking about the concerns that were here before, what has changed from that point to this point that will help alleviate some of our concerns as far as when it comes to public safety?
Well, I think one of your concerns was parking on Shady Lane. There's absolutely no parking on Shady Lane. Everything is on our property, and we've got a large gravel parking lot that should accommodate 50 cars, which is more than I think we'll ever have. We've had, the parking is no problem. People come in and they don't come in all at one time. It's staggered in, so it's just like normal traffic. Nothing will change on Shady Lane. There are no structures being used for the maze, so it's entirely outside. So there shouldn't be any. You had concerns about fire hydrant, which we do have a fire hydrant at the corner of our driveway, but there's no structures where any people would be in them. So and even if there was, they're just pole barns, so there's no fire hazard there. There's nothing to burn. It's just open.
There's nothing.
But nobody's going to be inside any structures that we have while we're here. We're going to sell tickets in a tent right in front of the entranceway, and then they will walk to the corn maze. It's a short walk from where they'll park to the corn maze. It's all smooth grass, mowed nicely like a manicured yard. There's nothing that they can trip, or there's no hazards for them really. When they get out of their car, they've got about a 30-yard walk to the maze, and that's it. And then they can leave whenever they want to. And it's like I said, staggered in, staggered out. So there's no buildup of anybody.
You're saying there's nothing out there that will burn?
That's correct.
There's hay.
There's a pole barn, but there's nothing in that. It's empty, just gravel parking.
Yeah,
so
okay.
there's no fire hazards or anywhere for there to be safety hazards fire wise or anything like that out here. It's open. It's just an open yard and then they walk into the cornfield. We'll have signs that say no smoking, clearly marked, and rules on the signs to where don't run, and just the typical safety rules: no running, no picking the corn, don't go in the actual rows, et cetera, et cetera. I've got signs that I've designed to make, so that'll be helpful for their safety. Also, if it's not big enough. It's big, but it's not big enough to get lost because there's not a lot of turns and dead ends. So, but if somebody did get lost, we can hear them, and we've got an access road that runs down and around it, all the way around it, so we can find somebody. But it's not that complicated. It's not a super maze. It's just kind of it's just kind of a walk in a cornfield, really.
How many, looking at your drawing here, how wide are the entrances where you got parking on both sides coming in? How wide of I guess a driveway or whatever roadway is that going to be?
For the cars to access the venue?
Yeah.
Is that what you're asking, for vehicles to access the venue?
Yeah.
It's, I'd say 12 feet wide, normal driveway. Semi dump truck drivers come up there all the time and drop off gravel, and we've had semi flatbeds come up and bring some of our lumber from when we built the pole barn, and so it's been there's no problem getting large vehicles in there. So regular residential vehicles, and the farmer, he brings all his combines up that road too, and so it's no problem for residential or private vehicles to get in and out. There's plenty of space. You can actually even pass each other if one in some of the spaces. But have one way coming in and one way going out, so there wouldn't be that issue anyway. But the roads are plenty wide for any kind of vehicle, really any kind of vehicle. There has been every kind of vehicle.
And the number of parking spaces that you're going to have for this location?
I don't have my map in front of me, but I'd say we can park 100 cars comfortably off of Shady Lane on our private property, and half of them would be, or probably more than half, 60 or so would be in the gravel area, gravel parking. So we think we've got adequate gravel parking area without having to park off of the gravel driveway, which we do that. We've done that frequently because we've had some large family gatherings and stuff. So it's been not in the grass when we've needed to. But I think we have adequate parking, gravel parking alone, to accommodate all the vehicles that will be there at any given time.
Okay, I appreciate you answering my questions. I do still have the concerns I had prior in 2018 with the.
I'd still invite you to come out and look for yourself, and I think you'd be.
I've seen it.
Fire trucks come down, cut through here, cut through Shady Lane to get to Compton Road.
We get every side of large vehicle. You can come down and they pass each other, and it's been happening for years and years and years, and hasn't been any issues really. I understand and appreciate your concern, but I think that we've got a pretty adequate space for the safety of people to get in and out.
Thank you. Is there any further questions? We have a couple of call-ins, Rebecca Walker and John Richards. Are they online now? We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone to either call in or to speak on this.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. This is John Richards.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. This is John Richards. I own the property next door to the farm due north, and I've lived there now for 10 years. They have had several events over there, family events, different weddings and events, for their family, sometimes as many as 100 people, and they've always been very respectful of their neighbors. You generally can't even tell that anything is going on. Their property is so large. I think this would be something really fun for people to do, and it's definitely COVID-19 friendly. This area that they're talking about doing this in is huge, and there would be an area for people to be. If they had 100 people, they could be 50 feet apart and never be close to each other. I think the one thing that no one's discussed on this, the reason that they're trying to have these events, this property is owned by 3 women that are all natives of Rutherford County, and they own the property out there. They don't have the equipment or the resources to farm it themselves, so they rent the land out to another farmer. And I don't think that proceeds that they make from the property even pay the property taxes on the property. So the reason they're trying to do these events is to raise money to keep the farm the way it is. And of course, all the neighbors in the area want it to stay that way, because if it doesn't, it's going to be sold off. There's going to be 1,000 houses out there. I'm probably going to sell my property and leave at that point. But I've been there. I plan to live in my house for the rest of my life. But I don't think anybody's touched on that. This is not a for-profit thing for them to make money. They're trying to make enough money to continue living the way they have. They have aunts and uncles and cousins and brothers all living on the farm all over, and that's the main reason I think that they're trying to do this.
Thank you very much. Any
Yes, sir.
questions for caller? Next, who's the next caller?
Yes, my name is Rebecca Walker, and my husband and I own the property at 3831 Shady Lane, which is our home, and we also own the property at 3748 Shady Lane, which is the house that's immediately right there by the property. And we are in favor of this special permit they're asking for. And we have also lived on Shady Lane for over 10 years, and I have never seen a time when the road was impassable. And I know for sure there were 2 fires on that road, and all the fire trucks came, and that has been within the past 10 years, and there were not any, I've never seen a problem when somebody could not pass through the road. So we are definitely in favor of passing the permit. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Anyone else? We're still open. Public hearing. We'll close the public hearing. Any discussion?
It's simply my opinion that if we approve this, there should be some way that he knows how many people are on site. And he talked about selling tickets, that we should limit it to 100 because of the social distancing and the limited access.
Are you making that a motion?
Yes.
Approval with those stipulations? Yes. Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call a roll, please.
Clarify that you're making a motion to approve the temporary special exception with a limit of 100
Selling tickets, limit to 100.
100 on site.
Site at any time.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question.
Go ahead.
How are you going to know who's going to control that? That's like asking the fox guard or guard the hen house.
He is.
I mean, no, I don't mean nothing against him. I mean, but
No, I
it'd be like
understand
asking
what
me
you're
to guard something that, I personally have I mean.
Just vote your convictions. Okay.
I'm going to.
All right. Any further discussion?
Can you hear me?
You got that? Call a roll, please.
So Sartain motioned, Harper seconded, and with the amendment recommended condition. Gary Farley?
No.
Joe Machado?
Yes.
Jerry Sartain?
Yes.
William Harper?
Yes.
Renee Curtis?
Yes.
Zane Cantrell?
Yes. It is approved. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's see. The next item of business is a request by Sharon Rogers. Is that where we are?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I got 2 different agendas here. Who is requesting a variance relief of 10 foot in the rear yard setback. What do you have on that, please?
Thank you. Application 2020-19 involves the property at 221 Steelson Court. It's a request for variance relief of 10 feet from the rear yard setback requirement of 20 feet for a structure located in the RM medium density residential zoning district. And the applicant came in at the end of July to pull a permit to enclose an existing patio. At the time the applicant was issued the paperwork, they were informed verbally by staff that the rear yard setback requirement was 10 feet. The applicant proceeded to construct the enclosure with that in mind, and at the time of the footer inspection it was discovered that the enclosure encroached into the 20-foot rear yard requirement. And so it was that time that the applicant contacted our department and indicated that they were relying on information that was provided to them by planning staff, which was incorrect. So the applicant wishes to request a variance to allow them to enclose the existing patio to 10 feet off the rear property line. There are special site conditions that make this property unique as opposed to other RM properties. It is part of the Royal Glen PRD, which was approved many years ago under the old zoning resolution. And the lot sizes in this section are relatively small compared to the 15,000 square foot minimum that's required for the RM zone. This site has just over 12,000 square feet. And even though that the PRD allows for reduced lot sizes, it did not provide for reduced yard setbacks. And with this property being situated at the beginning of the cul-de-sac, they are forced to meet that 40-foot setback, and they have recessed the house, as you can see across the street, the same, a little further back than their surrounding properties. And those at the end of the cul-de-sac have additional land area to work with. So it is a tight backyard, especially with the size of the homes in this subdivision, but we found that the encroachment was not due to the actions of the applicant. In fact, they actually reduced the size of the enclosure to come into compliance with that 10-foot requirement that was communicated to them. And that concludes our presentation.
Do we have anyone online on this?
I do believe the applicant is trying to join us online. They may be joining us by phone.
Go ahead if you're online.
Ms. Rogers? I know that I received a text from Doug. She has been trying to call in.
Sometimes that doesn't always work out. We'll open this for a public hearing for anyone who'd like to speak on this or a call in. Close the public hearing. Do you have any further questions on this, anyone?
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Have a motion to be approved. Do we have a second? Second. Have a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Gary Farley?
Yes.
Joe Machado?
Yes.
Jerry Sartain?
Yes.
William Harper?
Yes.
Renee Curtis?
Yes.
Zane Cantrell?
Yes, it is approved. Do you have anything else for us?
No, sir.
We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone, for being here and participating.